I think it's some of it's mental, it's emotional, it's all these things. The mechanical aspect I think has been cleaned up. If you notice though, sometimes even on his takes, he's taking hard with his legs, which you want to do, but he's falling forward. It's like, I think it's began like if you're falling towards the plate, that makes you even more susceptible to that inside pitch.
From the EQC studio, welcome to The Top Step with Rowland-Smith.
How we going, mates? Welcome back to another episode of The Top Step. We're back inside the EQC studio. I know we're down at Emerald Queen for the last couple of weeks. It was an absolute blast. Special thanks to the Emerald Queen Casino for letting us use their sportsbook. We're going to be back there July 26th and then August and September. So we're going to be there once a month. Come down, hang out. I know Dave Ardsman, Charlie Furbush, really enjoyed some of the Mariner fans down there catching up with everyone. So a lot of fun. We've got a really good show. We're kind of doing that halfway point in the season. I'm going to have Ryan Divish join me right after the break. We're going to break down some of the things moving forward and looking back too on this team. Also, big announcement. We have got a brand new sponsor. That's right. San Juan Seltzer is the official drink now of the Top Step. I love a San Juan Seltzer. I actually drink these a lot. Keto friendly. Not that I'm on the keto diet at all. I wish I was. I'm not. But these are good, man. I love them. They're really light. They're good in the middle of summer, too. Summer's rolling around. Make sure you grab a San Juan Seltzer. They're going to be looking after every interview we do from now on. So special thanks. Welcome to the folks at San Juan Seltzer. We're actually going to be doing something down at their seltzery, which is really close to the ballpark later on in the year. I can't wait. A lot of fun. All right, let's get to how we always kick it off, and that is the top trends. Now, this is pretty fascinating. I came across this stat, and this is brought to you by ilovebaseball.org. Go to ilovebaseball.org and see some of the amazing things they're doing for the young men in the Dominican Republic, young ball players. For just $39 a month, you can make a huge, huge difference. So take a look at this. You see the Mariners. As we look at this, there are 9 games over 500. And they're batting .219. That is unheard of. I was looking through some of the worst offenses that had gotten to the playoffs, and there's some bad ones too. You can survive, but you all know you have to survive with really good pitching. Just to show you how stark that is, the closest team to that low of a batting average, as we look right now, and as an offense, is the Cardinals. Now, they're ranked 17th. Now, we're talking teams that are over 500, all right? So the Seattle Mariners right now, they have a run differential of plus 11. Why? Not because they're hitting balls, because they are pitching. Now, we are going to dive into all of this with Ryan Divish as to what they may need at the trade deadline. But I got to say, man, coming out of spring training, we talked about this on episode 1, if you go back and listen to it. I knew the pitching was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be this good. The fact that you were carrying a team this well out in front of well over 500. Also, as we speak now, they've got a pretty sizable lead in the division. You see the Houston Astros there sitting around 40-40 as we talk about this. That's going to change, obviously, but they're a team that's going to start surging. The Mariners have to figure out their offense. They really do, especially once you get to August, September, when teams start improving via the trade deadline. If they can go get some upgrades in the lineup, that would be amazing. But this pitching has been unreal. I know Brian Wu went down on that last road trip. Luis Castillo got roughed up a little bit, but man, their starting rotation, they throw strikes, they control the zone, as the Seattle Mariners like to say it, but pretty impressive. And when you look to, I'm looking at some of these numbers with the teams we're talking about that are over 500. As it stands right now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 12 teams over 500. We've seen that National League wild card too, by the way. Everyone trying to get that wild card spot. But when you look at all these teams, they're all, batting average well over 250. They're all slugging. They're all scoring a bunch of runs per game. The Mariners are 3.92 runs per game. That is in the bottom 5 in Major League Baseball. As for batting average, they're at number 29th. In Major League Baseball. So again, pitching wins you games. That is for sure. The Mariners are going to go get some offense. I guarantee it. And some of these guys too that we have now, Julio Rodriguez, I'm going to talk about him with Ryan Divish. He's going to pick it up too, man. There is no way. He's just too talented to see what we've been seeing, especially of late. All right, coming up after the break, Ryan Divish is joining me inside the EQC studio. Don't go anywhere. Go have a sip of your San Juan, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Tacoma. We sit in the shadow of no one, except, well, Tahoma. It's who we are. We like to get loud, and we're all about the thrill of going for it. We just put on our game face and play. So get ready for whatever the next adventure holds. From the big shout, to the big payout, to the big night out. We're here for it. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Welcome back inside the EQC studio. It's Ryan Rowland-Smith. I've got a special announcement before we get to our guests. We've got a brand new sponsor, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, our good mates at San Juan Seltzer. They are now the official drink of the Top Step. I love these things, by the way. I drink them all the time, especially once summer rolls around. Nothing better than a San Juan Seltzer, that is for sure. So they are going to be the official drink of the Top Step and looking after every interview we do. Speaking of interviews, I've got a very special guest. I guarantee you follow him on social media. Seattle Times Ryan Divish. Ryan, how we going?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Nice, man. Well, hey, listen, I feel like every time you're jumping on the show, the one thing that sticks out is Julio's going through a little bit of a rough stretch. I mean, you go back to the road trip, Miami, Tampa, Cleveland. He was struggling, man. No extra base hits. What are you seeing from Julio in this, in that stretch? And just, I mean, first half overall, but right now, what are you seeing from Julio Rodriguez?
Yeah, it was. I think it's some of the similar stuff we saw earlier in the year. Kind of the lack of balance in the batter's box, falling all over, but really just how they were attacking him. Getting pounded in on his hands with. They're using sinkers now a lot too. These high, 95 mile per hour sinkers that are kind of running towards that back foot. And then, once they get him, bust him in hard, they just start kind of going away, 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 seeing if he'll chase. And, it's been a problem. And I think, part of it is he had some success. He was starting to get going, and he wants to keep doing it. And you get in swing mode, and it's hard to get out of it. And I think he's tried to swing his way out of this a little bit more. And what was he, 3 for 30, I think, on the road trip? Even like the big walk that he had the other day to help win the game. He draws a 9-pitch walk, and then Cal Raleigh hits the big 3-run homer after that. If you go back and look, only one of those pitches was a strike in all 9 pitches.
Yeah.
So once he got behind, he was kind of forced to chase the guy around outside the zone and foul some pitches off. He laid off the ones that were kind of no doubters out of the hand. And I don't know that there's an easy solution. It's, I think some of the mechanical issues have been cleaned up a little bit. I think it's a better looking swing than it was earlier, more athletic. Scott Service talked about him not getting his front foot down, not being on time on fastballs. And then obviously the approach. Maybe you eliminate just half the plate. If you know that you're going to get busted in a half on the inside, which is a tough pitch to hit anyways, with how hard these guys throw, maybe just eliminate it. Eliminate it and say, look, anything that looks middle, especially early counts, anything that looks middle isn't going to stay middle because, teams have known for a while now that you don't throw it to him. If you're going to miss off the plate. So if they're throwing him sinkers, they're going to start an inner half, and they're not going to stay there. They're going to miss to the inside, and the same with sliders away. So maybe eliminate half the plate, start there, and really just try and focus on that. Maybe, cheat it, get your front foot down early. What was that? Remember Jose Batista, how it changed his career? He did that huge leg kick, but he exaggerated and cheated. Justin Turner, big leg kick, exaggerate it. Get it down early and then adjust from there because he's certainly a good enough athlete to do that, I would think.
Yeah, you know what's funny, man? Because you actually brought this up. I can't remember how many weeks it was ago but you brought up the balancing. I didn't even pay attention. Now I really started to watch, and you just watch that finish, man, like that swing, and then all of a sudden he's shuffling his feet all over the place. Honestly, I hadn't really paid attention. Do you think it's more of a mental thing for him, though? You mentioned the raw talent. He's got plenty of that, but do you feel like he's glancing up, you see in your peripheral vision up on the scoreboard the fact that the home run numbers are down, and you get in your head, and that's when it all starts to snowball when you're in the box? Or do you think this is purely a mechanical adjustment that could be made? If he sticks with it, he'll be fine? Or which direction you going there?
I think it's some of it's mental, it's emotional, it's all these things. The mechanical aspect I think has been cleaned up. If you notice though, sometimes even on his takes, he's taking hard with his legs, which you want to do, but he's falling forward. It's like, I think it's began like if you're falling towards the plate, that makes you even more susceptible to that inside pitch. I just think just finding that good balance and slow with your legs and fast with your hands. He hasn't really found that yet. It's just, it's probably like my golf swing. It's it's a little off kilter. It's like I remember when you took BP that time when we were down in Arizona. It wasn't pretty, but you got 2 hits in the game. So
I did.
Yes.
Super late, by the way. I mean, I
Yes.
remember everyone's like, "Oh, you got 2 hits." I mean, did you see the hits? It was just straight off
out
time.
out of the catcher's glove as you pulled them right
Exactly.
out.
It was like cricket. If anyone listening to this knows what all about cricket, but just straight laid on that thing and off it went, scurried its way through the infield. Talking about the first half, we're kind of at that midway point. Is this, if going out of the off season, out of spring training, we get to this point in the season, is this what you anticipated, or are you surprised by anything with this team overall? I mean, you can start with offense, pitching, bullpen. Is there anything that surprises you about this first half so far?
Well, the record I think is the most surprising thing. That they're leading the division. They're leading the division without, I think, playing top level baseball where all facets are at least average to above average. I think that's the biggest thing: the record, their success, and then some of the struggles. I didn't anticipate Julio being this guy that has 7 homers. I think Dylan Moore has more homers than him. I didn't anticipate Mitch Garver, Mitch Haniger, Jorge Polanco to be this well below their normal kind of production levels. I mean, and even J.P. Crawford, he's flirting with 200, and the strikeout percentage is very high. And I didn't expect this team to strike out as much. Like everything we saw at spring training and how they constructed this roster, I knew they would strike out. Like they could sit there and preach that they didn't want to strike out as much. They were still going to strike out. Yeah. But the rate they're doing it now is just ridiculous. So that's my biggest thing. And then that they haven't really found a Steckenrider or a Seawald or a Topa out of those group of guys, and that's really hurt them because the injury issues with the bullpen. They just don't have guys that Scott Service really trusts beyond Ryan Stanek and Andres Munoz, and both of those guys have had their moments too where they've been either injured or not productive.
Is the trade deadline, are we going to be now focused on bullpen help? As boring as it sounds, everyone's talking about that big bat, right? Or going to get offense. And you and I know, we follow this team every single day, that the Mariners really, push towards that one player that they can control for the next couple of years. Is it now all of a sudden it's distracting because the bullpen's so thin that now it's like, oh, sorry, we can't go hard on the offense now because we need bullpen help?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly easier to get a bullpen arm than to find that hitter that they're looking for, the impact hitter. And they're going to be bullpen arms. They may have to grab 1 or 2. You look at how valuable Brash was last year because he missed bats. He got strikeouts. They don't have guys besides Munoz and Stanek. They don't have high strikeout guys really. I mean, Thornton's is okay, but he just hasn't been good in those pivot roles. So they need at least one. Santos is supposedly coming back. Logan Evans is a young prospect that throws, triple digits that they're gonna. I think we'll see after the All-Star break. They'll give him a chance. But I think you have to look at an experienced leverage reliever to go to that back of the bullpen because that's how they win games. Even if they go get one more bat and they add a bat, that doesn't fix the offense. They need to get one, but that doesn't fix it. They need Julio to get going and these other guys. So I think they can add both. I think that the reliever is always a little easier to add. And, some people always joke that they could bring Paul Sewald back again because, if the Arizona continue to struggle. But it's the bat that will be harder to find. But it's the bat that everyone wants. But a reliever will be will have a lot of value if they can find the right one.
Are the Mariners any chance of getting one of these rental players, like one of these guys, like Alonso, that you kind of have that feeling there's no chance they're going to turn around and sign him as a free agent this winter? But is that out of the realm? Are we looking more of a situation where they pick up, someone who obviously not the same name or two bats that more controllable? Is that what you're sort of predicting here?
Sorry,
if they do go after, no.
Yeah.
Go,
so I got a golden retriever plowing into the table.
Oh, no worries.
Thinking she needs to be petted.
All good.
No, like I don't think that they can be picky. You know what I mean? Like they're in a need for an impact hitter, another bat, and I don't think that they can sit there and say, well, we don't want a rental or we don't want this, we don't want that. They have to look and see, and they're going to have to. And it's a seller's market. There are not that many teams selling, so the asks are going to be high. So they're going to have to figure out how much they can get, how much they're willing to give up. But yeah, the thing with Alonso now is that the Mets have played so well lately. They played themselves back into the wild card race.
Yes.
And I think the biggest problem we're going to see in terms of adding the impact bat is lots of teams will want one. There might not be that many available because not that many teams are selling.
Right.
You look at the National League. The Nationals are within the striking distance of the wild card. I think really, if you look at it, only the Rockies and the Marlins are the only two teams that have really been eliminated. And we both know that the Rockies don't like to trade their players for whatever reason. So, teams like San Francisco are still hanging around and they're still trying to give their fans a reason. And I think that's what Rob Manfred wanted when he added this other wild card, but it makes the trade deadline a little less active because of it.
Do you feel like teams too now that it's not so much cut and dry where it's like that one player for, 4 prospects? Like teams are starting to get a little bit more savvy in regards to like a need for a need, or they call them like more baseball moves in regards to like. Getting a little bit smarter and I know there's so many teams in the wild card, but I feel like, the Mariners last year, like they got a Rojas for a Seawald, and everyone's like, well, that's kind of like a lateral move. Like you sold and you bought at the same time. Do you think there's more teams now, willing to do that as opposed to the traditional, all right, we're just giving it up for that one player, because the way the game's gone and because teams now value more 2, 3, 4 years as opposed to just going all in on 1 year?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have GMs that don't want to lose the trade. There are some that always want to win, but you have GMs that don't want to lose it. You don't want to be known as the guy that gave up Adam Jones and 4 other guys for Eric Bedard and all these things. And because prospects are so much more well known, people are aware of who they are because of social media. So then the backlash can be even greater. You're right. I mean, the purpose of a trade ostensibly is for both teams to address needs, because the needs aren't the same. But,
right.
You do get some GMs that want to win trades. They ask for the sweetener. Jack Sorenzik was always that guy. He wanted to win it, after making a few deals, and that's why a lot of them fell through. So I don't think Jerry Dipoto is always worried about that. He's traded away plenty of good prospects thinking that he was making the big league team better. And I think they realize they need to. I think they realize that they've never been in this position this in June with this sort of lead in the division. And I mean, not since I've covered. That's 2006. So I think that's going to motivate them to make some deals. But whether or not they're going to have the matches out there is going to be the bigger question. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, since I've covered the team from a non-baseball position, they really, they it's amazing, man. Like they get to that deadline and they're like 6-7 games up in the division. It's kind of like you really don't have a choice, right? Like, I mean, a couple of years ago, they went and got Luis Castillo. I was kind of surprised, not because they went after pitching. Everyone talked about offense. I was just surprised they were willing to make that move. And I think this year it's even more so, because now all of a sudden they've got such a big lead. But hey, listen, speaking of pitching and the All-Star game coming around, who are the Mariners? Obviously, Logan Gilbert, man, I think I'm not saying he's a shoo-in. I'd be extremely disappointed, if he didn't make it for a couple different reasons. I mean, he's such a good dude, but who else are you looking at on this team's got a chance of making the All-Star team?
Well, they got to get one, so I think Logan is as good as anybody.
Right.
If you look at Andres Munoz, his numbers are pretty good. I think he has a chance to make it. Maybe one of the other starters. George's numbers are starting to pick up. The last 5 outings, he's allowed 2 runs or fewer, so he's a guy that could go. He's kind of a known quantity too. Sometimes with pitching, it's not just about your numbers, but your reputation. So people recognize Logan and George as being good anyways. You could make an argument for Cal. He's going to have he's going to have over 50 RBIs by the break. He's at 49 right now, and he's at 14 home runs.
Right.
He could add 3 or 4. I mean, like you're talking about a guy with, he's on pace for 28. Well, he's on pace for 28 homers and 100 RBIs right now as we speak. And it's pretty good. Catchers just don't do that. I know that people look at the batting average, but also like if you look at his defensive numbers, he's rated as like one of the top 2 defensive catchers. And I think managers that play against him respect him. They really see, well, maybe not John Schneider, but like the rest of them really respect what he does in a game. I mean, like you won't find many managers that wouldn't take a Cal Raleigh on their team automatically. So I think those are the 3.
All right, man. But listen, before I let you go, and I appreciate you joining me on and off there, but before I let you go, what's one big prediction? What offensive player in this lineup is just going to have a huge second half?
Well, I would probably go with the most talented, and I mean like where he's at to what he's capable of doing. I would say Julio.
Okay.
I think he's capable of it. I think the biggest, like the most immediate improvement that we'll see from any one hitter though in the coming weeks will be J.P. Crawford. He's had some longer at bats. I mean the strikeouts are weird. He struck out a little bit more than expected, but like we're starting to see it. He hit some balls hard. He hasn't had a lot of luck this year. I mean, I think he should have 3 or 4 more home runs than he does, but they're all missed by about 6 inches apiece. So He's the guy that I expect immediate improvement from. But I think if you're looking at like somebody who could make a dramatic jump, I mean, look at last year. Julio put together a month that equals some guys' careers. So that's where I think he's going to be.
I love it. Well, Ryan, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, especially on an off day. But listen, if you're not following Ryan Divish already, I'm sure you are. And by the way, he's very interactive. He'll get right back to you on Twitter at Ryan Divish over at Twitter. And this is brought to you by San Juan Seltzer. Ryan, I appreciate it, man. I'll see you down at the ballpark.
Take it easy.
All right, special thanks to Ryan Divish. When we come back, we have the How to Speak Australian segment. I'm going to educate you on how to speak Australian. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right here on the Top Step.
I love playing my games and watching my points multiply. I love a good deal with all the perks. Because while I'm shooting for a crown jewel, I collect lots of great gifts along the way. And I'm here for it. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
All right, special thanks to Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. If you're not following Ryan, go to at Ryan Divish. Check him out on social media. Very good Twitter follow. All right, you know what time it is. It is time for our Aussie segment. That is How to Speak Australian, brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi Pub, which is in Ballard. And this week, we are going to honour our new sponsor. I'm giving you a hint. We're going to honour our new sponsor, San Juan Seltzer. If I'm in Australia and I say to you, hey, mate, it's your shout, what does that mean? The word is shout. I want to know now. It doesn't mean yell. What does that mean? You're down in a pub down in Sydney or Newcastle where I'm from, and someone says, hey, listen, mate. Hey, mate, it's your shout. Oh, hey, your shout, isn't it? What does that mean? All right, you go to social media. You go to Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube in the comments. Go to at the Top Step TV. Put hashtag TTS, mate, and you have a chance to win some very cool prizes. This is brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi. We will be there later on the year. All right, mate. It's my shout right now. Special thanks. Welcome, San Juan. Go crack open the San Juan Seltzer. It's Friday afternoon. Have a great weekend, mates. We'll see you back here on the Top Step next week.